Hi, this is Uncle Jeff. I'm making this video for my brother-in-law Carl. I've been telling him about this infamous Crappie Jig. So I'm going to make a variation of that, and hopefully we'll be able to show you guys how to make these jigs and use them for crappies. Take a raw jig. These are just Walmart specials, 16th ounce ball head jigs. I think they're, I don't know, $2 for 10 of them or something. We're going to go ahead and create a white jig head. One thing I forgot to do, I noticed, is I like to flatten out these little bait holders on here, or rubber holders, whatever. I like to flatten that out. We don't need that for this kind of a jig. Just have to get it hot enough to kind of melt the powder, and hopefully I'll be able to do this without it getting too cool as I put things down. Now you just kind of drop it in the powder jar, and it just kind of melts on the heated lead. Hit it with some more heat until it turns nice and shiny. Alright, you got yourself a jig right there. Okay, before I do anything, I like to rough up just this little shank on the jig there. I just rough it up a little bit so that the thread sticks a little better. And the first step of actually tying the jig is to get the thread started. So what I do is just kind of work it around itself as such until you have it on there nice and tightly. And then I take this handy little tool. This is just like a little thread cutter, and cut that extra string off. Now you just take this little tuft of hair and wind your string around there, get it nice and tight. You don't have to put a lot of winding on there right now. That's it for that part. So here's a little piece of red quill. That's going to provide like a little red tail on there. I suppose you could take a needle or something just to pull that piece apart. Okay, pretty easy. And then go ahead and wrap that on there. Again, just get it on there, you know, so it holds. It doesn't have to be real tight, but you go ahead and just wrap it on there and get it pretty good. Stuff's a little tricky to deal with, but not too bad. Then I kind of turned it so that it's wrapping around on itself. Okay, and then I'm going to go this way. Okay, just start going around in a circle to create the body, that silver body that makes this jig so special. You know, when you start hopping that jig around, that silver flashing, I think, is what does it. Now what you want to do is you want to kind of go just to to where the point of the hook is, about that far back. You don't want to go any further back. That's where we'll end the twisting, and then I'll work my way back toward the head of the jig again. So you just, you know, add just a little bit of pressure, apply a little pressure as you're turning. You don't have to really yank on it. Of course you can't, or it'll break. And then, alright, when you get enough on there, that's about all you want. Just a kind of a fat little body right there. Now this bobbin is holding your thread yet, so you can just kind of twist that around. You'll want to work it behind and in front of the chenille so that it kind of pinches it off. But we'll use that little sewing tool again and get rid of the leftover of the chenille. There. That's all that was left over. Alright, and then where did our little red thread, or little quill here? You want to make sure that's kind of on the top of the jig, like such, and then finish it off. Now, I like to wrap it up a little bit, you know, so that I can kind of tuck most of that chenille material in, and then we'll finish it off. Now there's what I do is I just kind of form a little loop like such, and then just finish. I'm going to wrap my my thread around that loop. This is basically just a finishing loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little piece of thread, 1 or 2 inch piece of thread behind after I wind this, probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 times. You want to wind it around. It'll tuck the thread back underneath again, and hopefully you can see what's happening there. I'll turn this, maybe make it a better look. So I'm taking this little piece of thread, putting it through the loop, and then I'm going to take the 2 loose ends here and just yank on that loop so that it pulls the thread back underneath. I hope you can see what's happening there behind the head there. And that's how you finish it. There. And then you can either let it hang, that's like the original Crappie Jig, or you can trim this off. And I'm going to trim it off because I've already got a little piece of red tail on there. It'll look more like this after I trim it. Alright. That's how it's done. One last thing I wanted to point out is you want to make sure that when you powder paint these jigs that you clear out the little eyelet here. Sometimes if you get a lot of paint in there, that